Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. You know, the mark of a great champion is closing out a series. You've seen all the great teams do it. You saw the Bulls do it in the 90s. You saw the Lakers do it in the 2000s. You saw the Miami Heat teams do it. You saw the Cavs do it. You saw the Warriors do it. So the great championship teams, they know how to close. When we get to this point, we know that we can't let teams hang around, because the longer we let them hang around, the more apt and the more dangerous it gets for us. So with a team like Boston, who we've seen them, they're battle tested. We know that they can win on the road, and we know that they can win in hostile environments. So with that being said, we have to end this thing. If you're the Warriors, we got to end this thing tonight, because I don't think that they want to come back to Golden State with this Boston team. They do not want to see these guys back there. And the reason why they don't want to see these guys back there is because Steph Curry has a history of not being very good in closeout games. He's got a history of that in the finals. We saw him in Game 7 in 2016. Right? We saw him in Game 7 of 2016. He went 6 for 17. He had 21 points. And he wasn't very good. We saw him in 2019. He went 6 for 17 in 2019. I'm sorry. 21 points. We saw him in 2016. 6 for 19. 17 points. So there's a history there of him not performing on the big stage when it matters the most, in a closeout game. So this thing can happen. Now, the flip side to that is the Boston Celtics are battle tested as well. I mean, a lot of us don't want to talk about guys like Jason Tatum, who we forget the fact of how young he is, and he's still in his developmental stage of his career. You know, he hasn't figured this thing out yet. But the fact that he's on this stage, nobody wants to hear that. You're in the NBA Finals. You need to perform like you belong here. Which is kind of ironic, considering in elimination and closeout games, Jason Tatum is 31 a game in these playoffs. In elimination and closing games, he is 31 a game, including 36 a game in the 2 elimination games he was in. 36 a game. So he could obviously do it. The Warriors do a good job of keeping you off balance defensively, because that basketball, it moves so well. And they make you defend. I mean, the Warriors can do that. They can keep you off balance defensively. And they can also force you into tough shots offensively. So when I'm looking at Jason Tatum in the mid-range, which I've said this countless times, the game hasn't slowed down for him yet. So you see him taking a lot of uncharacteristic shots, because again, we're looking at a guy who's still trying to figure it out. We're looking at a guy who's still in his developmental stage. The Celtics go early as Jaylen Brown goes. You know, if Jaylen Brown is rolling early, that gets those guys going. Marcus Smart is a catalyst to what they're doing. We're talking about a guy who I believe they're 7-0 when he's 20 or more in the playoffs. They haven't lost. When he is 20 or more in the playoffs, they have not lost. And that comes from him being aggressive. Not just falling in love with the long ball, because he's never really been a great long ball shooter. But he's always been able to make plays in the teeth of the defense. He's always been able to make plays in the mid-range and get to the stripe. That's always been his game. And he thrives at that. Now, this Celtic team, when their backs are against the wall, which they are now, they're facing an elimination game. I mean, they got one loss after losing, as we know. Now they've gotten 2 because they haven't lost back-to-back games. I'm just having a difficult time seeing this Warriors team beat these guys 3 times in a row. and again, I had the Warriors winning the series in 6. I just didn't have them beating them 3 times in a row. That was not the way I saw this. Now, when I look at how Boston can win this game, well, they got to get back to playing Boston Celtic basketball and not beating the Warriors at the Warriors game. Well, we could beat you at your game, but that's not our game. You know, we're a transition team. Not only are we a transition team, we create a lot of turnovers, a lot of one-shot, one-and-done possessions for teams because we gang rebound on the defensive end. That hasn't happened in the last 2 games. So they've gotten away from that. So they have to get back to that. I don't want to see another wasted effort from Robert Williams. I don't. Because when you got a guy who's hurting like he's hurting, but gutting it out the way he is, we got to give him everything that we can. So when he's in there rebounding, we have to help him. We can't give up 16 rebounds to Andrew Wiggins alone. We can't give up 13 rebounds to their starting small forward. You can't do that. You have to match that. And that comes from guys like Jason Tatum. That comes from guys like Jaylen Brown, who Jason Tatum, in elimination games, not only is he 31 a game, he's 31 and 9. So he can rebound, and he shows that he's done that. I just think they got to do a better job. They have to do a better job in rebounding and controlling the pace of the game. And how do you control the pace of the game? Well, they got to move the basketball better on offense. They don't make the Warriors work defensively. A lot of the stuff that they get, it's one pass, Jason, you go. One pass, Jaylen Brown, you go. Now, don't get me wrong. Their offense is predicated on Jaylen Brown getting going early. If he gets going early, he's a spark for all of these guys. But there has to be more action off the basketball and make this Golden State Warrior team defend, particularly Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins. Make these guys defend, and make them defend for stretches, as opposed to when you get one pass and a quick shot, or one pass and a bad shot, which is the equivalent to a turnover. You're basically letting them off the hook. Meanwhile, what they do with their action, where they got Clay, where they got Steph, where they got Dre, where they have Poole, and the action is constant movement, constant ball movement, and they're making you guys defend, which tires these guys out on the offensive end. And I don't mean tire them out physically, I mean mentally, where the Warriors will come down in their offense, they'll get 3-4 passes and a shot. The Celtics will come down, they'll miss a shot. The Warriors will come down once again, get a quick shot and score. The Celtics will come down and miss a shot. The Warriors once again will come down, 3-4 passes, make them defend. That's a mental thing now. Where now the Celtics feel like we have to get back into this game. And now they're forcing tough shots. And now they're rushing themselves, as opposed to making these guys guard too. And I think that if they do that, they have a really good chance tomorrow night. They have a very good chance tomorrow night. I'd like to see a better effort from Al Horford. I don't expect him to be 22, 25 a game. I'm not asking for that. No, I am not asking for that at all, because that's not what he was brought here for. He's a vet. He was brought here for leadership and to give us a spark. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I wouldn't welcome 22 and 13. I'm not saying that at all. Absolutely not. But what I am saying is that I don't want to have to rely on him that much, because there are so many other guys that I need to rely on. I think the Celtics also have a problem with their bench. I mean, to get outscored 31-4. I mean, that says a lot about what the Celtics bench is giving them. And of course, you can't account for Gary Payton going for 15 off the bench, because he's not a D&3 guy. He's more of a D&D guy who can hit a three from time to time. He's more of a D guy than a 3 guy. We all know who Jordan Poole is, because Jordan Poole is buckets. So he gives them that spark off the bench as well. And since we're on the subject of coming off the bench, I thought Steve Kerr outcoached Udoka. I don't know if those guys that Udoka has on his bench, if they're viable. And I'm not sure if they're viable simply because he doesn't use them. Udoka's got an 8-man rotation because Theis is now out of the rotation. And Theis is out of the rotation because he's got a difficult time defending the pick and roll. We can't, because he tries to blitz and Curry goes right past him. So we can't really use him in that setting. He tries to blitz, Curry goes past him. He tries to blitz, Curry goes past him. He's in drop coverage, Clay's cracking the long ball. Same thing with Jordan Poole. So he may be somewhat of a liability, which is why he can't play in this series. So now that leaves Coach Udoka with 8 guys. Pritchett, Grant Williams, and Derek White. I'm not sure that's enough. I'm not sure that that's enough. Because Derek White's been giving you really good minutes off the bench. No question about that. Grant Williams hasn't been Grant Williams. And I think the reason for that is primarily because he's a rough and rugged guy. That's why he thrived in the Milwaukee series the way he did. That's why he played as well as he did in the Miami series. Because those series are tailored to his game. You know, he's a dirty work guy. He wants to get down and dirty. Well, the Warriors aren't that type of team. The Warriors are an up-tempo, fast-paced team. They like to shoot the long ball. The other teams in the playoffs like to shoot the long ball as well. But when the Warriors slow the game down, there's also a lot of action off the ball and a lot of movement. And it's faster. That's really not what Grant Williams is accustomed to. Pritchett wasn't very good in Game 4, and he hasn't been much of a spark in this series as he's been in series past. And they need a better effort from him. But I think Coach Udoka got outcoached with his rotations. Not only with his rotations, with his adjustments and adjusting the offense and getting more ball movement. Kerr was able to do that once with his substitution patterns. And he was able to exploit that. So when guys like Poole come in the game, guys like that, when they come in the game, you have to go after them. But the way to go after those guys is you got to go after them, keeping them off balance with the ball moving. I thought Jason Tatum did a good job of going after Poole, going after Curry, but I think that needs to happen more. And the way that happens more is that ball's got to move more. You got to put those guys on the defense and keep them on the defense. So I think that this series could go back to Golden State. But if Golden State's going to end it, they have to do it tonight. Because I don't think I'm not going to say I don't think. I take that back. I am 100% confident they do not want to see Boston out there in Game 7 because Steph Curry has a history. Steph Curry has a history of not performing well in closeout games. He's got a history of that. We've seen him do that before. So I don't think they want to see those guys. So if they're going to end this thing, they're going to end it tonight. And I had the Warriors picked in 6. I didn't have them beating Boston 3 straight games, but I did have them picked in 6. So we're going to definitely find out what's going on tomorrow night. But it's the finals, guys. This is what it is. I'll be here for as long as you want me here. It's good to see you. But until then, take it light, but take it.